like me, you may like to be outside. There's so much to see and so much to explore, and I want to share with you some things that'll help you see things a little bit better. Now, you don't need to be in the forest like I am here or out in the prairie. You can do this in your own yard. You could do this on the sidewalk in front of your house, because there's nature everywhere. So why don't you join me as we take a walk around here and look at some things up close and train our eyes to see what's in front of us.
You may not have woods near your house where you can explore, but I'll bet you've got a sidewalk. And sidewalks can be fascinating places. So here we are on the paved path at Severson Dells, and I'm seeing all sorts of pretty fascinating stuff here. We've got leaves that have fallen from the trees already that are full of holes. I wonder what put those holes in the leaves. We have all sorts of little plants growing in the cracks here. Got this plant with the long leaves, and it's even got some seeds on it. So it had flowers earlier in the year. Here's another one that's got some beautiful yellow parts on the top of it. We've got mosses, and I've got at least 2 different kinds of mosses here. This one here has thick leaves on it, and these over here have very thin leaves on them. And they're all surviving here on the pavement. Now in the summertime, we often find ants on the pavement. We even find daddy longlegs crawling across the pavement. I've even seen bright green beetles. They're called tiger beetles. And I've seen them on this pavement. They like little patches of sunlight. So you might think pavement is not very exciting, but it is full of all sorts of nature that's happening, but it's really, really tiny. And you have to get down real low to look for it. Oh, wait, there's an ant. Right there. Imagine if you were the size of an ant, what this pavement might look like. I'm going to grab my camera and see if we can see this up close, because I want to share this ant with you. Can you see him? To the ant, this pavement must be a boulder field. And look at how fast he's moving. If you were the size of that ant, would you be able to jump over boulders and move that fast? I don't think I could. Here's the moss, the large green leaves. They almost look like fur. And then this moss has much smaller leaves on it. There's a little tiny plant sprouting there. Do you see the monarch? What is it doing? If we look carefully, can we see its tongue? That long curled up thing that's coming out of its mouth and going into the plant is its tongue as it gets a drink. Oops, don't want to step on that one. Oh, there it goes. That was a treat.
What else do we see? See these bright green beetles? Oh, they've all disappeared. Oh, there's one up here. A different beetle. Oh, what do we see over here? We have a ladybug. And a bit of a breeze. I love exploring plants because if we take the time, look at this beautiful beetle here. If we take the time to look real closely, we can find all sorts of amazing stuff out here. A lot of it is very tiny, and we have to go slowly to see it. So what do we think this little beetle is doing? Oh my goodness, look at them all. I see 3 green beetles. Oh, one just landed on my finger. 3 green beetles and some little black ones inside as well. Oh, 4 green beetles. Now these guys might be looking for pollen to eat. Not going to find any pollen on my finger, that's for sure. There you go, buddy. Oh, doesn't want to leave me. There we go. Crawling around the inside of the flowers. Oh, we've got an ant over here. And our ladybug is still on the flower. Wow, this has been an amazing place, and I just walked up to it. We are at the side of our parking lot here. So I'm not any place fancy, and these are just some thistles. And you might have thistles growing near your house or your schoolyard, and I bet if you explored them, you would find all sorts of amazing insects on them as well. And you can just stand there and watch and see what these things are doing as they crawl around. What do you think it would be like to be this little beetle crawling around this flower? It's probably a good thing they have 6 legs. Okay, so throughout this video, we've been looking at a lot of different things out here in nature. And while looking at these things, I kept asking myself 3 questions. First, what do I notice? So I would pick something up, or I'd look at it and say, I noticed this about it. I noticed the leaves that had holes in them. I noticed the bugs inside the flowers. We noticed the slug slime across the driveway. And then we asked ourselves a second question. I wonder what made the holes in the leaf. I wonder what birds I'm hearing out here today. I wonder what made that shiny path along the pavement. And then the last thing is, it reminds me of. So I look around here and I'm looking at the bricks where I'm sitting, and I'm seeing some lovely moss growing down here, and it reminds me of the rugs on the floor at my house. Or the leaf that had the holes in it. It reminded me of a piece of Swiss cheese.
So there are no right or wrong answers. It's what it reminds you of, which might be something different that it reminds your friends of, or that it reminds your brother or sister of. So everything's going to be different for everybody else. Now, one of the things you can do after you've answered these questions is you can take a piece of paper and a pencil and draw what you see. Because when you draw what you see, it really makes you look at things a lot more closely. For example, I'm going to turn my camera around and we're going to look at the pavement here. All right. Can we see the pavement? All right. Down here, I've got some lovely moss growing where these bricks are. And I'm going to draw a picture of that. So I take my paper and my pencil, and I'm going to draw, see, I've got this one brick here. Kind of comes like this. And as I'm drawing it, I notice it has a crack. So there's I notice. And you know, it reminds me of a stair because it has this jagged edge on it here. And if we look at it, see, it comes like this and like that. It reminds me of a staircase with one step. So I draw my crack in my brick. That reminds me of a staircase. And then there's a space, and I have another brick up here. And then there's a brick that goes a different direction over here. So I've drawn my bricks. And then I notice the moss that's growing in the middle here. So I've got this green moss here. And oh, there's a bug crawling across it. So I'm going to draw my little bug. I'll give it 6 legs. Okay, so there's my little bug that's on the moss, and it's got 6 legs on it. And as I'm looking and drawing, I notice there's a piece of grass growing up from that. And there's a couple of more pieces of grass here. And there's some more grasses growing in here. And there's a little plant with 2 little leaves here. So as we take our time and we look and we draw, we start to see all these things and we can put them in our picture. So I've got the moss, and I've got my moss. I've got this little piece of grass. There's the grass. The little bug was crawling along here, so I put him there. I've got this little plant here with the 2 little leaves. I've put that there. Here's the crack in our brick, and I've put the crack in our brick here. There's a little round thing here. It looks like a bit of a leaf. I'll put that on my picture too. So when we draw what we see, we find that we see a lot more. So drawing pictures of the stuff that we're noticing helps us to really see it better. So I hope that you're going to take some time now to go to your schoolyard or around your house, in your lawn, or on the sidewalk, in your driveway, and start to get really close to the ground and see things. You can lay down on your tummy and you can look at the ground and you can see what's crawling around there, what's growing there. You can pick up the leaves and you can look at the leaves, and you can look at the insects. I've got a whole bunch of flies. I've got, a little beetle here. I've got ants. Warm days like today are going to be really great for looking for insects. But you know, it doesn't have to be a warm day. Rainy days are going to have great stuff to look for. Cloudy days, cold days, there's always something happening out in nature, and you can always go look for it. So I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and I look forward to hearing from your teacher some of the amazing things that you have observed in nature, and maybe you'll get a chance to share some of your drawings with us. Have a great time.